Good evening. At this time, I'd like to invite you to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I would like to call the meeting to order. Individuals wishing to address the commission are requested to complete a speaker card and deliver it to the Parks and Recreation Commission Secretary prior to the item being heard by the commission. Please observe a 3-minute limit for communications, and once called upon to speak, please state your name and the city of residence for the record. Item 3.1, approval of the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, minutes of February 11th, 2025. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to approve it.
I will second.
Let us take a vote.
Commissioner Olson, your vote, please. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine matters, status reports, or documents covering previous commission actions. The items listed on the consent calendar may be enacted in one motion with the concurrence of the commission, a commissioner, or any person in attendance may request that an item be removed for further consideration. Item 4.1, developer impact fee fund balance bond repayment for January 2025. Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept the consent calendar.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. A motion was made by Commissioner Boggs and second by Commissioner McBride. Let us take a vote. Thank you. Item number 5, communications from the public. This portion of the agenda is intended for a general public comment only on items within the commission's jurisdiction that are not listed on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the Parks and Recreation Commission are requested to identify themselves and state the matter on which they wish to comment. No action will be taken on matters not listed on the agenda. We ask that you please observe a 3-minute limit for communications. And I did want to open it up with Ms. Aria and Ava from the Mayor's Youth Council update.
Good evening. My name is Arya Nawabi,
And my name is Ava Matthews.
and we are with the Mayor's Youth Council. The Mayor's Youth Council offers students the opportunity to serve their community, gain a wealth of experience in local government, and contribute their voice to dialogue that will shape the future of our city. At last month's Mayor's Youth Council meeting, we had a mock city council meeting in the council chambers with Mayor Jim Steiner. He discussed his role as mayor and our city council members' role. He also discussed how council meetings run and function. We went over 2 agenda titles, and each played a role as mayor, council member, city manager, city attorney, assistant city manager, fire and police chief, and a few of us were residents providing public commentary.
At today's meeting, we had our Mayor Youth Council provide us with a finance department presentation, and we went over job interview preparations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. The next item, Ms. Vargas, are there any additional speaker cards from the public? Besides the ones I have right
No,
here?
no additional ones.
Thank you. Okay, we do have a few communication cards from the public, and I'd like to call up Mr. Stephen Young.
My name is Stephen Young. I live a mile away from Border Park. I stand before you today to request your assistance in preserving Border Park as a vital space where our community comes together, engages, has fun, stays fit, while it supports our mental well-being. Border is more than just a place for pickleball. It's a hub for connection, recreation, and overall community health. Border serves people of all ages, offering a space for families, friends, and overall communities. As pickleball grows at Border, I urge you to support and fund our requests as they may be helpful and safer for our community. I ask that we may have shade, permanent nets, water fountains, better lighting for safety, a first aid kit, some seating, and foremost a bike rack to secure others as well as my bike while we're playing pickleball. Thank you for your time, dedication, and commitment to keeping Corona a great place to live and play and grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. At this time, I'd like to call up Ms. Dana Lopez.
My name is Dana Lopez, and I'm a resident of Corona who is passionate about playing pickleball at Border Park. I want to bring to your attention a recent incident that has raised concerns about safety at the Border Park pickleball courts. Last week, I experienced an unfortunate fall, not during a game, but rather due to the need for the Parks and Recreation Department to turn off the court lights and the safety light at 8 p.m. This left the area in complete darkness, making it difficult to navigate safely after play. Unfortunately, I sustained injuries to my knees, forearms, shoulders, back, and neck from landing so hard on the cement. This incident has not only impacted my ability to play pickleball, but has also affected my responsibility as a full-time caregiver and my personal life. Currently, I'm undergoing physical therapy and uncertain about the duration of my recovery. While I understand the proximity of the courts to the residents' homes, I believe that the court operation hours are from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's very fair considering many outdoor courts in the area and other communities remain open until 9 p.m. and even from 9 to even 11 p.m. I know the nearby residents and the staff at the park and rec support and encourage and promote those who work late and are entitled to these benefits. Yes, every minute of playtime every minute of playtime counts, especially when the score is even. I propose a minor adjustment to our court lighting hours, keeping the lights on until 8:15 to allow the remaining players and the ambassadors to properly store the equipment and turning off the safety light at 8:30 p.m. This small change would enhance safety to those of us navigating to our vehicles after 8 p.m. and would not contribute to the noise pollution. I respectfully urge you to consider this adjustment, which would promote both safety and security and a positive experience for the residents of Corona to utilize the courts. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up Mr. Mike Wagner.
My name is Mike Wagner. I'm a resident of Corona. First, I'd like to thank both of the two people that just spoke. I didn't know they were going to be here to do that, and they covered a little of what I had. Let me just say this. The Border Park Pickleball Court refurbishing project is now complete. The project involved $5,000 plus donation from the Parks and Rec Foundation. And I understand Tom Munoz is part of that foundation. We'd like to thank you and your partners in the foundation. In addition, there was $5,000 plus in individual donations from the people sitting back here. Hundreds of man hours Volunteers, citizens did the work and refurbished, resurfaced those courts. They're now in great shape. It's a really nice facility. All of that was done at zero cost to the city of Corona. We did the donations, we did the work. We would like to ask a couple of favors in return. One was just hit upon in a way. It was shut down up there for 8 weeks and during construction of the ADA ramp. After 8 weeks, the contractor put in a temporary wooden stairway so that we can get back up in there and play. I would like to request that you guys at least consider making that a permanent entry rather than strictly the ramp. ADA ramps are always a secondary entry for those that need them, while stairways typically are the entry for the general population. And this has gone over really well with our players, and we'd like to keep it. The other thing is we would like to ask, I know over the last year, one of the things that has been a major push in the city as many playgrounds were refurbished and updated, also a lot of shade was put in for the parents who are sitting there watching their children. After we've put so much time and effort into this project, we would like to ask if you would consider a shade cover over our waiting area, because we can have 10 to 20, maybe 30 people at times waiting. And on a hot summer day, that's a very hot wait. The other thing I had here is the mention of the lights, which she just talked about. 815 is crucial in my mind, and I think most of us. It's a safety hazard. When the lights go off there, it's not just dark. It's pitch black dark. You can't see a thing out there. And somebody is going to get seriously, seriously hurt coming down from those courts. So 815 would be really nice. The last thing as I run out of time, as we get to a new facility somewhere, please include us somehow so the people who actually play the game can have some input. Thank you.
Ms. Vargas, are there any written comments from the public?
Yes, Chair, we do have one written comment. Good evening. My name is Debbie Cortez, and I appreciate the opportunity to respectfully propose modifications to the Border Park pickleball courts. I took pickleball lessons in April and May 2023 with the Corona Parks and Recreation and fell in love with the sport. I mainly play at Border Park courts and have also played at other public courts elsewhere. When I play at other courts, I look for best practices that other cities have used, which is the basis of my proposed modifications to improve the safety and quality of the Border Park pickleball courts. First, signage. Requesting permanent signage similar to the photo attached will be beneficial to the players and visitors. Second, lighting. Requesting extended, proper lighting for the safety of players. Extended or proper lighting helps prevent injuries and ensures a safe departure from the courts. If the courts are open until 8 p.m., the lights should not turn off at 8 p.m. Instead, 15 minutes prior, have the lights flicker to warn players that courts will be closing soon. Or if the lights at Border Park pickleball courts do not have that technology, then extend the lighting 15 to 20 minutes after 8 p.m. Note, for comparison, the tennis courts lights at Mangular Park are on beyond 8 p.m. Shade. Requesting permanent, durable material to provide shade to players waiting to play or for spectators. Please see photos of the metal tables, chairs, and coverings for shade. Next, permanent nets. Provide permanent nets for the Border Park pickleball courts. Taking down the nets and securing them in the lockers takes time, and if the lights turn off, it becomes a safety hazard. Next, new pickleball courts. Build new pickleball courts in Corona that have individual courts, proper lighting, and restrooms. I appreciate the consideration of these requests, and I'm willing to collaborate on a solution that benefits both the city and its residents. Respectfully submitted, Debbie Cortez.
Thank you for the comments. For item number 6, administrative reports, Our community service reports from Ms. Finch.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm excited to introduce our community services report for the month of March. We have a lot of exciting updates and activities we want to share and report on. And before I get into a couple of really great announcements on some awards that we've won, I'm just going to give a quick overview of our presentation for this evening. So on the recreation side, we are currently gearing up for our spring event season. We have a lot of exciting events coming up in the month of March, as well as into early April. We're also preparing for our spring adventure camp and the camp that we typically hold here at the Vicentia Activity Center, as well as some specialized camps that we host at the CCC. So we have some exciting announcements about that. We also have an update that we're going to be providing on two employees for community services that responded to a very important incident at the CCC that occurred in early February with one of our adult basketball league participants. Our staff was very quick to respond and provided some life-saving support that Mr. Lass is going to provide some additional information on. And then last on the recreation side, we have an upcoming new signature event that is being planned for the month of April. It's a music and arts festival, brand new event, and it's part of our year 2 expansion of our special events program. We are on a 3-year plan to expand our special events, and this is something that we're really happy to share as a new activity that's going to be coming out of that. And then moving over to the Parks and Trails side, we have an update on our Corona Beautiful monthly cleanups, as well as our guided hikes program. We have an Arbor Day event that's planned for the month of April that we are excited to announce. Some tree planting that's going to be going on over at Promenade Park. We also just broke ground on our new splash pad over at Victoria Park. This is something that's been a long time coming. The equipment was recently delivered. Mr. Cortez is going to provide an update on the timeline for that, but we're anticipating having that open sometime in early to midsummer. So excited to see that move forward. And then 3 new playgrounds have been installed, and this is something that we're really looking forward to doing our ribbon cutting ceremonies on. We're working with the contractors right now on some punch list items to get those playgrounds open to the public. They are at Fairview Park, Border Park, and then a new tot lot over at Mountain Gate Park, which we are also doing a naming competition on for the new baby brontosaurus. So Mr. Cortez will be updating all of you on that. But before I turn it over to our recreation and parks team to provide updates, I want to provide a couple of updates on some awards that we recently received from the California Park and Recreation Society. Flip through the PowerPoint. Yeah, I don't have the clicker, so. Okay, great. So the first award is an award of excellence that we received for our volunteer program. And first of all, before I get into the actual awards, I just wanted to highlight that these are very prestigious and competitive awards. They are a statewide award. There are dozens and dozens of entries that come in for the Park and Recreation Society to be able to honor and recognize their program. So the fact that we won 2 awards this year is a really huge accomplishment that we're very proud of. But again, the first one is an award of excellence for our volunteer recognition program. I know we do our annual updates. Madeline Black usually provides the update on all of the great things that we're doing for our volunteers to help benefit our community programs. As you know, we have a very robust volunteer program that has just been built from the ground up over the last couple of years, and to see it reach this level of success in such a short period of time is a really huge accomplishment. But we are being recognized for the way that the program is set up, so it's a very centralized process for being able to apply for volunteer opportunities. We have a wide variety of volunteer opportunities for both standalone, if somebody just wants to volunteer for one single event, if they want to do recurring opportunities, they're interested in the library, the senior center, the animal shelter. We have just a wide array of opportunities for people to be able to contribute their time and hours to. So we're very happy to be able to see that program become more successful, and we currently have about 1,200 volunteers right now in our queue, and they provided over 2,000 hours of 20,000 hours, 21,000 hours of volunteer service for the past year. So to receive this recognition for them is very special. So we're really excited to announce that. And then the next one is for our very own Commissioner Tom Munoz. So we all know Commissioner Munoz is so active, not just with the the Park and Recreation Commission, but also in other endeavors. He has been active for decades with the Boy Scouts here in the city of Corona. Also volunteers his time with the school district. You'll see him out at the Centennial High School football games, pulling the chains for being able to track the yardage. And then, of course, all of the work that he does on the commission. He's just extremely valuable to everything that we do here in the city of Corona. And to be able to finally see him be recognized as a champion of the community at the state level is just so special and important. And we're really, really excited to be able to be there at the annual conference for CPRS next week and see Mr. Munoz receive his award. So congratulations, Commissioner Munoz. We're very, very happy for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Last now to start us with the recreation update.
All right, thank you, Ms. Finch, and congratulations to our award winners. What a prestigious honor, and what an accolade for the city of Corona. This is the best of the best, and I'm so proud to see that we are represented and we'll be participating in the conference this year. Just wanted to give you a kind of an at a glance on this beautiful but yet rainy spring day of some of the exciting things coming your way. And first off, if you have not been to the Historic Civic Center to see any of the musical presentations or programs taking place, it is a beautiful site, and our partners at CAT do an amazing job. They're currently doing Anastasia the musical, so definitely want to check that out. Tickets are now on sale. At the CCC, we will be doing a Pi Day, no bake pie class, so 3.141592655359, etc. But kind of playing on the mathematical equation there, and then participating families will have a little treat that they can take home. So check that out if you're looking for a little fun family outing. On 3/15, we will be doing Inspire Bingo Night at the CCC, so that is a co-sponsorship. They are raising funds to help support foster youth. On 3/17, we will be doing another volunteer information session at the library. 3/18, our adaptive program will be doing their St. Patrick's Day party. 3/19, senior trip to Mission San Juan Capistrano. We also will be doing another St. Patrick's Day party at the Senior Center on 3/20. Corona Beautiful Cleanup, Arbor Day tree planting. Moses will tell you a little bit more about that during his presentation. We have another kids' night out if you're looking for a little date night and some fun, engaging activities for the kiddos on 3/22. Guided hike on 3/29, which will be friend or foe, identifying plant species. So what you don't know may kill you. No, nothing that severe, but be well informed when you're out there on the trail. And then we will be entering spring break with our friends at the Corona Norco Unified School District, and we have plenty of fun planned for that. So I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit more. The big highlight of the course is our Kids Club After School program. So during the school year, we operate at 8 sites. When CMSD is on break, we pull into one site here at the Vicentia Activity Center, and we activate the Historic Civic Center campus. And we serve grades K through 6, ages 5 through 12, and that'll be full week, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Days packed with active programming, all kinds of great things, so sports, crafts, spring fun. Everyone will be engaged, and I don't think you'll hear anyone saying I'm bored, which is great. And the price is very affordable, $130 for residents, $180 for non-residents. We have about 120 spaces, and it does fill up pretty quick. Of course, if full-day camp is not your thing, we have plenty of other offerings that will be taking place at the CCC, our park system, and beyond, including badminton, craft camp, ice skating, indoor multi-sports, Pure Joy, STEM basketball camp, and some great STEM activities. So if you're looking for something to do, you don't know quite what you want to look at, follow that link below, check out the Corona Connection. Or even just give us a call and say, like, hey, what opportunities do you have coming up for my kid aged, XYZ, and maybe some of the things that they're interested in, we'll provide a consultation and help sign you up for the right program. All right, on a more serious note, I did want to share a surprising incident that took place at the Circle City Center. This was actually in early February. We had a participant in our basketball program, a young adult enjoying a great night out, leisurely activity, when he experienced a sudden cardiac arrest event. And this is really scary. You never know when these types of events occur, when they will occur, who they might happen to, and whether you're prepared for this or not. Fortunately, this did happen at our community center. We have amazing residents, we have amazing staff. Being surrounded by a community, we were able to respond to this quickly and diligently and with expert precision. So I did want to give a little bit of a shout out to Luis Ponciano as well as Avrina Ramsey, who are on our sports team assisting that evening, as well as some of our Good Samaritans that were in attendance, including Kenna Gunter and Jay Chancellor. And then, of course, the CCC is in close proximity to Fire Station 2. So we had a response less than 2 minutes, which is absolutely incredible. So life-saving CPR and AED was provided on the court, and they were able to get him quickly to a hospital where he could receive the care he needs. So I think this just demonstrates the power of community, when we bring people together and play, but also being able to jump in and help each other out. Just beautiful testament to what happens in our facilities, good or bad, that there's compassionate, caring people all around. I always think of the Mr. Rogers saying, in times of danger, look for the helpers, right? And then I just want to let our residents know, think about yourself, think about your family, think about your work situation. If something like this were to occur, would you know what to do? I think we all watch the training videos, you call 911, but how would that play out in real life? And there's some great resources available here in Corona. Our friends at the fire department actually offer free CPR lessons, and you can sign up through their website. And then they also have a really great group training program, and they do a lot of this at the school. So for groups of 40 or more, maybe there's a couple scout groups we can pull together, or volunteer nonprofits. You can actually have a quick overview of CPR. It's not a certification program, but they'll train you for what to do if something like this should happen. So that is all available on the city website. Just go to our quick link there, /fire, and click CPR, and you can learn more. And then last one I am so excited for, we have not had a signature spring event, so this is our first real stab at trying to do something a little bit different. We're not quite doing the spring celebration. We're really leaning into music and arts. We saw a lot of our feedback from previous surveys, as well as the PRMP work, that we do have a lot of folks that are interested in art types events, and we have a thriving and beautiful arts community here in Corona. So this will be taking place on Saturday, April 19th from 1 to 8 p.m. at the Historic Civic Center. And it will be a full day experience. We'll have a street fair, we'll have music and entertainment. You can drop in, swing by, maybe do a little shopping, grab some food, maybe stay the whole day. There's all kinds of great things taking place, and we were absolutely blown away by the response from the artisan community. We had 50 plus vendors express interest in participation. And these vendors are gonna be a little bit different than what you see at this summer street fair. We're actually gonna have some fine artists. We're gonna have live art demonstrations. We're actually gonna have hands-on activities that kids and families can take part of. Every hour, we're gonna have a different little lesson you can sit in on. Our friends at the Corona Art Association will have their gallery open, and then we're gonna be doing some community art showcases there. Of course, music brings us all together, so we have some great entertainment taking place on stage, including some headline performances there. Stone Soul, of course, being one of our crowd favorites here in Corona. So check it out. We have all kinds of great fun in store. That'll be taking place again on Saturday, April 19th, 1 to 8. Save the date, come by, swing it out, swing by, show your support. When we have residents show up, this is why we get to do what we do. So really looking forward to that, and I hope I can see some of you out there. With that said, I will go ahead and turn the presentation over to Mr. Cortez for our Parks and Trails update.
Thank you, Mr. Lass, and good evening, Commission. I have a few updates I'd like to share with you for the Parks and Trails Division. Our first one is that we had a Corona Community Cleanup event held at Skyline Trail in Hagador this past month. We were up there on Saturday. It was our second one. We were up there Saturday, February 22nd. We had about 77 volunteers, and we picked up about 4,000 pounds of trash. It doesn't seem like we could pick up that much up there, but with 77 volunteers on the ground and some of our staff, we were able to pick up everything from cardboard, pieces of lumber, some tires, and just in general, just trash. There was a ton of trash. We also did a little bit of vegetation clearance along the paved path leading up to Hagedorn. So it was nice to get out there for a few hours that morning before it got warm, and we're out there kind of cleaning up our area. Our next one is our Arbor Day event. So this is a big one. It's one of our kind of bigger events of the year. Really excited about it. We're going to be at Promenade Park. We're going to be doing volunteer tree planting. We'll also have a drive-through mulch and distribution giveaway. So in addition to the mulch, Waste Management has offered to provide some compost. So we'll have both compost and mulch available. It's our Mulch March Madness giveaway. We'll also have info booths and some other giveaways. We'll have several departments there, Public Works, Utilities, giving out different handouts and stuff like that. So hope to see you there. It's going to be a great event. Hopefully the weather cooperates. Guided hikes also took place February 22nd, so it was a busy day up there. Aside from the cleanup, we also had guided hikes. So we had the whole team up there. They were up there. And again, these events fill up so quickly. It's been one of our better events that we've had. And our next one coming up, as Mr. Last mentioned, is Friend or Foe. So that's coming up March 29th. And that'll be going over invasive plants that you might find along the Hagedorn Trail. Also, really excited to let you know that, again, this is a project that we've been working on for a very long time. It's the Victoria Park Splash Pad. Construction did kick off. Micon is our contractor that'll be performing the work. Equipment was delivered on site, and construction kicked off on the 24th of February. And we anticipate the project lasting through mid-summer, maybe late summer, depending on how the weather cooperates and any other unforeseen items we might come across. But good news is that the playground, the basketball courts are not impacted by the construction. Parking lot is also available. There's one small section that is kind of fenced off for a laydown area. But aside from that, the park is still functional and active. Also, another exciting item we have, we had reached out to you guys to ask for some input on some naming for our new tot lot up at Mountain Gate. And we narrowed it down to our top 3. So right now, the community is voting for the next few days to see what our Brontosaurus is going to be named, and it's come down to Bixby, Cora, or Pronto. And again, the voting is open until March 13th, so we're excited to see what name comes out of this. And lastly, just to kind of touch on some additional playground openings. So again, we do have the Mountain Gate tot lot that will be opening, Fairview Park and Border Park. We are working with the contractor right now on creating some punch lists and getting those addressed. As soon as those are done, we'll be definitely in touch with you all and doing a ribbon cutting. So stay tuned, and we should be in touch soon on those. So really excited to get these playgrounds open for the community. And with that, we're available for any questions.
Ms. Vargas, are there any speaker cards from the public?
No, Chair, no speaker cards.
And are there any written comments from the public?
No written comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Olson, do you have any comments?
I do. Yeah, I don't really have any questions, but man, huge congratulations to everyone for the recognition on the awards. That's awesome. Maddie is a force of nature with the volunteer program, and I expect that we'll continue to receive such recognition in the future with the way that's going. And of course, Tom, fantastic. Long deserved. You've been an inspiration to me. So super awesome to see you getting recognized at the state level like that, because you are everywhere in the community. So congratulations, Tom. And the incident that happened over at CCC, huge thanks to Louis, Ibrina, Kina, and Jay. That's really really awesome and great that we had the tools there to help support that. I know we've got an AED out at Border Park too, and I'd love to see those more present in our community for such situations. So that's great. And otherwise, thank you, Director Finch and Jason and Moses for the updates.
Commissioner McBride, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I think I actually have a question, but a couple of comments. Again, the awards, I'm proud to be part of the city in my own way here. And I know I have someone, Commissioner Munoz, to look up to and aspire to be at some point. So congratulations. Thank you. A couple of quick questions I had. Mr. Lass, you mentioned the spring break camp. What's the current fill rate? I know you were saying it's filling up quick. How's that coming along?
It's doing good. I would say a lot of our parents wait till, maybe the week before to make their final decisions for their program selections, but we're starting to see that really pick up quick as we get less than 30 days out from the spring break here.
Okay. And then my other one is on the Arbor Day. I actually was approached by my own organization at work about doing a community involvement with Earth Day, and I brought up the Arbor Day event. What are we doing for outreach to maybe businesses that have community give back type programs? Are we contacting businesses saying, hey, we have these events, to maybe pull some of that through? And that might be to the two of you here.
Yeah, I think Mr. Cortez can answer that one.
So we have reached out to some of our local vendors that we do work with. So like West Coast Arborists will be there doing little sapling giveaways. We coordinate with Waste Management and some of our other departments to give items away. WRCOG will be in attendance. And I know Utilities is also looking at doing a Earth Day event aside from this one. And I'm not sure what they might be, who they might be reaching out to, but for our event, those are the vendors that we contacted.
I'm not necessarily meaning the vendors. I mean like companies that are in Corona, like using the businessing license as a tie-in, saying, hey, we're doing this. Do you have community give back programs that you would like to participate? I know I've got a list of 22 employees here in Southern California. I've been encouraged by my company to invite. They'll be getting their invite tomorrow. So just wanted to see if you have a program to tie that back into our community of businesses.
So actually, we do have, I know Maddie has, oftentimes when we have our community cleanup events, whether it's a tree planting or community cleanup, there are several companies, local companies, that are participating and signing up. So State Farm, Kaiser, the list goes on, but there's quite a few local companies that are reaching out and wanting to give back to the community.
And Commissioner McBride, I can add too, we are actually in the process of rolling out a sponsorship program. So we have created a new outreach tool. It's a brochure that talks about opportunities for businesses to be able to sponsor, whether it's monetary or in-kind, our events and programs. We did an initial rollout in December with our economic development newsletter, and we're actually in the process of doing a mailer using our business license data to be able to actively start reaching out to our businesses for to see if there's interest in sponsoring all types of events. This would be one of them, as well as our additional programs.
Excellent, thank you. I think the other thing I have to say is the quick reaction by the staff. Can't say enough about that AED training. Knowing how to use it is the first step, and knowing when to use it. And big kudos to them for what they did and saving a life. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Munoz, do you have any comments?
I do a few. Had an opportunity over the weekend to review the agenda, and the following comments were mine. So upcoming events, fantastic. Good to hear that we're staying busy. I see on March 29th, we have a guided hike, friend or foe, and identifying plant species. I was at Cal Poly years ago in my youth taking classes like that, but it's inspiring to see people wanting to learn about plants in the area, especially when you hike up in the Hagedorn area. I mean, the more you learn, the more you know. The more you know, the better you are to survive any conditions, whether it's Native Americans use a lot of the roots Integrifolia and Ovada here in the highlands here, in the Chaparral area. And they'll understand what they use those plant material for when they were living in the area. So that's kind of nice to see our people learning that. Also, the spring break camp activities, I said it before and I say it again, but to keep our kids busy. Keep our kids busy. As a younger man, I learned the fact that kids are being recruited by gangs at 10 years old through junior high school. So we can keep them off the streets and busy playing baseball, playing basketball, playing pickleball, playing whatever sport they can play besides a gang, then the better off we are. And also include pickleball in that game situation. Our history is there with the kids. Also, congratulations to Luis and also Evrena. That's fantastic to see that they were able to save a life. I took a course here with my wife about a year ago. It's a free class for our church, and it's impressive. The firemen do that, and the firewomen teach that class for free. They give their Saturday up for a handful of hours to do that, and they tease you with coffee and donuts, but it's all right. But you go through the CPR class, and staying alive seems to be the mantra that save a person's life with a heartbeat. So you can think about staying alive. That beat is what you use to save a life. Also looking forward to going to the Music and Arts Festival here in April. It's going to be exciting. although I can't be there all day. I mean, I'd like to be there half a day or so. Be kind of exciting to see Stone Souls All Powerful. Can't see that again. And then on the Parks and Trails, I love the fact that we are staying busy again and being in the outdoors, breathing some fresh air, making some new friends, building camaraderie, being led by this young man to my left over here. Fantastic. Good to see that. Looking forward to Arbor Day. Last year, must have been last year, we were doing the same thing at Promenade Park, but they had a mural being introduced and installed that day. Are we going to have any more murals being painted on our walls? Legal ones?
So that mural was a pilot program. We had some initial funding for it, and it was well received. We have not received direction to install any additional murals moving forward. We are continuing to roll out the Canvas on the Curb program. That's the wraps that you see on the utility boxes on the corner. That's something that we are in the process of doing another rollout for. An additional 7 boxes is what we're trying to accomplish with that. But in terms of the park murals, at this point, we don't have plans to expand that at this time.
Is there a cost to sponsor those boxes?
There is. I can't remember off of the top of my head, but there is. We will be doing the outreach to the local businesses for that, for the sponsorship. And then we also will be doing a call out to local artists to be able to submit their artwork for that.
Perfect. All right. Guided hikes again. It's extremely exciting adventures going on in our outdoors. And Victoria Park, can't wait. That's in an area that's surrounded by Grand Circle, and that's Tom Merchant's area of expertise. But I'm looking forward to being there on opening ceremony, and it's exciting. Years ago, we did a park over in Orange County. My firm and I did that. And the mayor at the time, he's gone now, went to heaven. But at the time, he was dead set against a splash pad in his backyard at his park. And so until the day of the grand opening, he took his grandson, who was like 8 years old, and the grandson forced both of them to wear bathing suits. So that day he came to me and our whole firm said, "Thank you so much for this." You know, he told us the whole story, how he was against the whole thing from the beginning until his grandson was able to get there and bring his grandpa with him, take him by the hand and get splashed on. And so we won over a person, you know, that day, that weekend. So it's pretty exciting to see that happen. That's going to happen here at Victoria Park. Can't wait to hear the name of the dinosaur. They're all some good names there. Bigsby sounds pretty cool. And look forward to seeing. I lived near Border Park for 23 years, and I want to see that finally a new playground come to fruition. For 22 years, it was, 23 years, it was the same old. So it had mulch, and now it's going to have a PIP, rubberized surfacing. That's kind of cool. Can't wait to see that. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Munoz. Vice Chair Boggs, do you have any comments?
Just a couple, thank you. I agree with everything that the commissioner said. Congratulations, Tom. I think that's outstanding. Mr. Cortez, I have a couple questions for you. You mentioned on the Arbor Day, is that rain or shine?
Light rain.
Gotcha. Gotcha, okay. So light rain is okay.
Yeah.
And then probably I have 2 other questions. My most important question is on the naming contest.
Yes.
On the baby brontosaurus. Is it a boy or a girl? I can't pick a name. I can't name it Bixby if it's a girl.
That's a good question. I must say it's probably a boy.
I like Cora.
See,
No influence.
I like Bixby, so.
It does, I guess, yes. And then my question, another question then, is on the playground opening, are you planning on doing 1 per park or 1 consolidated?
It'll be 1 per park, so.
1 per park.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
keep you updated on those dates.
Perfect, thank you. And that's it.
I think it's 1 per park, but
Okay.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Just a couple comments myself. Also wanted to echo just great work. I have been able to see Madeline and all the work that she's put in on, and all the people that have been behind that. So it's really amazing to kind of see that recognition come from an outside entity, and on the state level, that's just amazing. And I'm really excited what the future holds for the volunteer programs in the city. And then obviously Commissioner Munoz, I agree, just such an inspiration. Congratulations. I also wanted to say, wow, the cardiac issue that happened at CCC. Just thankful that Luis and Evrina and Kina and Jay and the fire department was able to respond so quickly. That I agree. I think about it all the time whenever I do CPR training of, okay, if this were to happen in real life, would I be prepared? Would I be ready? I think we all take those classes and, or you kind of maybe pay attention, don't pay attention as much as you could, but, those things really happen in real life and the AED and just having those things accessible. So I'm just really grateful for that. I won't be able to make it to the Music and Arts Festival, but I'm really excited about rolling out a spring event and kind of seeing how that goes. I can't wait to hear the feedback on it. And then, yes, I agree. I just want to point out again that for the Mountain Gate Dinosaur, that's only open for a couple more days. Is that right? 2? Yeah, March 13th. So definitely cast your vote as soon as possible. And that's all I have for our community service report. So moving on to item 6.2, the Skyline Heights proposed public park and trails development. Mr. Cortez and TB Planning.
Yes, good evening. I have the pleasure of introducing this next presentation for Skyline Heights. And I don't want to get too much into it. I'm going to turn it over to them in a minute, but I just want to give a little background and highlight a couple things. Staff's been working with this developer for quite some time now, so a little bit over 2 years. And we're going back and forth just on several revisions to ensure that everything aligns with the Trails Master Plan, the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. The developer has a key interest in preserving the trails, and they actually funded the Trails Master Plan. So that was a great condition of this project. They actually, by 3 times, they've increased their requirement for parkland is surpassed. It's 3 times what it needs to be. So it's going to be a great development, and I'll kind of get into some of the items here. So the ask tonight is that the Parks and Recreation Commission receive an update on the public parks and trail improvements proposed in the Skyline Heights development, and provide a recommendation to the City Council for their approval. So again, as some of the background items is that we have been working with them. Again, we wanted to make sure that they met all the requirements within our master plan. We also wanted to make sure that we weren't eliminating trails and that we were looking to provide connectivity as well as rerouting trails when possible. We worked closely with several members of the mountain biking and hiking community, met in the field, met also in the office, went back and looked at what options were available, and kept just going through revision after revision. And I think we are in a really good spot, which you'll see here in a moment, of what's proposed. The park also, or the community also has 3 public parks, 3 trailheads, and again, we're preserving trails and connectivity. We also are going to be gaining some items that are quadrant 4, so we'll be getting a dog park and a pump track that will be part of this community. Again, the trail alignments will be incorporated, trying to make sure that we're not impacting any of the existing trails and looking for reroutes where possible, and also providing safe access to the Cleveland National Forest with minimal impact to the neighborhoods. And again, after the presentation is that the Parks and Recreation Commission receive an update on this development and provide a recommendation to the City Council for approval. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brian.
Brian Hardy with Richland Communities, the project manager for this project. So I think we have a little video. We built this rendering as a result of some of our outreach and being out on site. The site can be quite complicated to understand and comprehend. So we built this model, and it kind of tells the story. So I'll just let it go, and then I'll talk through the presentation after that. That's the dog park there. And this is the main park facility. And then it gets into the meat of the residential units and lots there. It's Foothill Parkway. And now going back for a return trip through the site. It's the Kite Park, the main park, and then coming back down to Trudy to the dog park. So ocean view is if you get high enough. So that's probably good enough. We can just jump into the presentation, and we can go back to the video anytime if anyone would like. My presentation ready to roll? Yes, sir. Oh, I just got it. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here we go. So the Skyline Heights was approved in about 2016. Richland Properties did the entitlements. The version you see on the left is the currently approved version. It's approved for 292 units. And the little star you see was a little tot lot / HOA park. So that was the only park proposed. The intent would be on this approved version that's currently approved to pay the Quimby fees and just not, provide any park facilities. We also provide very little, if no, access for existing trails. There's a lot of existing trails out there in the area that we're going to go through in more detail. But the currently approved plan does not propose to have anything go through the project site. So we've been working with the community and the outreach through our project plan revisions to see how we can incorporate the revisions to bring these trails through the site, legitimize them, and incorporate them into our amenity packages, which includes ultimately our public parks and some of our HOA parks too. So again, these are kind of the park facilities. It's kind of a linear type park where you've got a series of facilities that you want to go through and go on to the next and experience a different type of amenity. So again, this is that same screenshot looking at Trudy coming into the site off of Foothill Parkway and up into the park facilities. I want to go back to that last one. What this shows here is kind of some of the trails that we've been documenting. We've spent a significant amount of time out on site with some of the local experts in terms of the mountain bike trails, the hiking trails. We've worked extensively with staff on which trails could stay, which trails could go, and which ones would be more legitimized by the project and how we bring them through the site safely. So you can kind of see how they all kind of surround the site. In terms of the park, Moses referenced that we were only required to provide a little bit under 3 acres of parkland or pay in lieu fees like the currently approved project does. And this proposed project overall is almost 3 times the amount of required park space. So this is the Kite Park. This is the highest piece of the property in terms of the public park. A lot of these parks, the other cool thing about them is not just the residents that buy homes here will get to enjoy the view. Now these parks allow for the public to enjoy the view. Not only the residents in the park, in the community, but the surrounding neighborhood as well in the city of Corona. So this is kind of called the Kite Park because it is up high. It's got some fitness parks, some shade sails to follow the theming of the Kite Park, bench seating, the pathway, and a little barbecue area. This is our main park. This is kind of the main feature of the project. We've got a lot of things in here. We did a lot of public outreach. We've heard a lot of different things that would be good, and we tried to cram a lot of them in here. So there is a lot going on, but there's a little bit of something for everyone. But the real intent here is to tie in with the theme of the Skyline Trail, the Troy Lee Trail, which is a mountain bike trail, downhill trail, and how do we tie all that together into theme with the park. So we really tried to have a bit of like an adventure type theme here with the pump track, the bike track, and the trailheads. You might also notice here there's a lot of parking. The parking is probably 3 or 4 times more than what's needed. And the idea there was from our outreach, we heard a lot of issues with parking for access to the Skyline Trail. So what this does is provide a significant amount of parking to help offset some of the need for access to Skyline Trail. And then we have a trailhead as well that Jeff, my landscape architect, will get into in more detail. And of course, we have pickleball courts because no park is complete today without pickleball courts. So there's 4 of those as well based on some of the outreach we heard as well. Some renderings here, again, kind of how you can see the topography and how this goes up into the natural open space. But I mean, this park, it's hard to envision in 2D, but when you start looking at it in 3D and how it terraces up the site and the views, it's going to be quite the spectacular park for the project and the city. This is the dog park. The piece next to it where the grass is, that's actually an HOA piece, so that's more of an HOA amenity, but the proper dog park on the left-hand side is city CFD maintained public. This is dog park rendering. And now I'm going to hand it over to Jeff Trojanowski with Baxter Miller Landscape Architects. They're out of Corona here. He's also, I don't want to butcher it, but he's also an expert in mountain biking. So he's the perfect landscape architect for this project, and we've been really leaning on him and his expertise. He can tell you his background there. So I don't want to shortchange him, but this is Jeff.
Good evening. Yes, I'm Jeff Trojanowski with BMLA. For this project, as you can see, we have a lot of trails that run through. The green and the blue trails on the screen are city recognized trails, and the red and the yellow are so far the non-recognized trails. Those are mostly the downhill mountain biking trails. We try to keep as many as possible. We have over 10 trails that connect through the site. The center area, the green and the yellow, are ones that are unfortunately having to be removed due to grading and development. But we have ways to bring the trails that are staying into the site and back out of the site to keep it continual through how everybody's used to seeing it. This is our site. With the trails connected, we have added areas to bring those trails into the project and then again out of the project. And we have 5 or 6 connections. Also, the main backbone of the project has Class 2 and Class 3 bike lanes that are running through to connect to Foothill and to the existing treaty to the bottom of the trail. And then one thing we have taken into consideration, we know that there's a problem with, well, not a problem, but there are complaints with noise with the trails being too close to the rear of the homes. The closest trail that we have to connect to our project is about 24 feet away, and with the amount of slopes that we have, it's about an 18-foot grade change with a solid block wall adjacent to it. So noise will be reduced greatly. I know that's been an issue with the project or with the existing. Our trailheads, we have 2 major trailheads and 2 minor trailheads. The major trailheads have kiosks and drinking fountains, tables and overheads. They also have bike fix stations that include tools and pump stations. Our minor trailheads have drinking fountains and benches and kiosks as well, and they are scattered throughout the site. To safely bring the cyclists and the public back and forth across the main road, we do have raised medians for the crosswalks. It's to help slow down the traffic and to let them know that this will be a major thoroughfare. We have 3 locations, 2 at the main park, connecting the kite park to the main park, and then the main park to the existing trails on the west side or east side of the project, and then 1 down at the dog park. And that's our presentation.
Yeah, so I'm available for questions. If you have any hard ones, ask Jeff. I'll take the easy ones. But
Thank you. We do have a couple of speaker cards. At this time, I'd like to call up Mr. Dwight Woodward.
Hello, I'm Dwight Woodward. After looking at the map, I noticed that trail connector from Maybe Canyon into the development was erased. I was hoping that could be brought back so it would help keep a circuit from the neighborhood that's on the east side through the basin and over to the main area. I just kind of want to let you guys understand that all these trails are what made Skyline what it is today. It's not, I mean, the hikers and bikers, but all the way back into the 90s, this is where everybody rode. And for the developer in 2014, 15, when I got to meet with them and they were saying, no, we're not doing anything to what they're doing now. It's just a complete flop. I mean, flip. It's just amazing what they've done. Even though development will happen, but I feel like this is a responsible development. Best thing would be to almost have someone buy that land like the city bought right next to it, the 267 acres. That would be ideal. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of cover, I know a lot of people have touched on a lot of other stuff, or will touch on a lot of stuff, but the basketball court, if we kind of relocate that to the other park, I think it's called the Skite Park, or the Kite Park over there, just to kind of relieve some congestion, because if you have pickleball at the same time, and on the weekends, everybody up there coming in and out on bikes, and hiking and with dogs and all that stuff, just kind of relieve some of that action, because there's plenty of room at that other park location. But really at this point, I just kind of wanted to thank the developer for meeting with the users. The staff is like, I mean, their backs are going to be hurting. They're bending over backwards so much for everybody and getting information and putting it together, having personal meetings to help identify these trails. But anyways, I just kind of wanted to cover that. Like I said, I mean, ideally, no development is great, but if we have to, this is a really reasonable development.
Thank you, Mr. Woodward. I'd like to call up Mike Solisby.
Lived in Corona for 25 years. Been enjoying these mountains the whole time. I've ridden in them with my boys. I have many great memories riding with them together. I love the trails and the city's interest in keeping and supporting the trails and access for the bikers and hikers. That is amazing. It's refreshing to see a development that has taken into consideration keeping the trails open. There's a whole community of mountain bikers that not only enjoy riding our local mountains, but also put in time working hard to maintain the trails so that everyone can enjoy them. I commend the city of Corona on striving to keep access to the trails open, and thank you for that support. On a side note, some cities have embraced the popularity of mountain biking by building trails and promoting mountain biking in their cities. I believe Bentonville, Arkansas claims to be the mountain bike capital of the world, and many people go there on vacation mountain biking. Wouldn't it be great if Corona was the mountain biking capital of the world, and more revenue for the city, people coming, spending, and enjoying our trails? Again, thank you for your support on keeping trails open, and keeping access to them is appreciated more than you may realize. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Bradley Bouguet. Sorry if I butchered that.
I'm Brad Biggie. It's Biggie. Good try. It's a weird last name, but it's mine. I have a few comments. I live here in Corona. My house is actually pictured on most of the developer documents there. I live that close to the trails, and I'm an avid mountain biker, so it's physically close to me, and I'm interested in it. First of all, I'm thankful for a voice. As Dwight mentioned in some of the previous development plans, we were never asked, so I'm really thankful that the trails team here has, reached out to us and taken a lot of our input, so thank you for that. A couple things for consideration. I think that there are a few safety concerns with the new trailheads. You're providing a greater level of access for a casual trail user at a place that is not really a casual trail. A lot of these trails are getting cut off halfway, and now that's a new entrance point. They are mixed-use trails, I understand that, but maybe we should consider developing some sort of hiking loop for families, a more casual user. Sometimes it's not appropriate for elderly people, people with kids, people with dogs, walking on what is currently used as a downhill mountain bike trail. That being said, since they are mixed use, I also propose that the city take an education-based approach in some of the signage that they put on the trails. Don't hike with headphones on, maybe keep your dog on a leash, right? These are some of the issues that exist now that are kind of workable, but I think will probably get worse as access increases for the average trail user. I also ask that city continue to keep channels of communication open with the trail users so that we can address these things when they come up. I think that we've had good input so far, and as Dwight said, as a local and longtime user, I don't like to see the development, but I'm cautiously optimistic and thankful that all these considerations are being made. So continue to work with us, and I think that you'll see a big benefit from that. Lastly, as Mike mentioned, I think that I would ask, don't underestimate the impact just economically that this brings to the community. I mean, I can't tell you, if you drive by Foothill on a Saturday, you see all those cars lined up all the way up Foothill. People drive from all over from different cities just to come to Skyline to ride, to hike, to go out with their families. They go to restaurants after. It does impact our economy. So there is a real benefit to this, not just a local saying, preserve the trails. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Ms. Vargas, were there any other speaker cards from the public?
No additional speaker cards.
And any written comments from the public?
I do have 2 written comments. Hello, my name is Bobby, and I'm part of a local community of mountain bikers affected by the proposed construction at Skyline Heights. I've reviewed the proposal and very much appreciate the effort to include pump track amenities, which will satisfy the park master plan for like amenities in Quadrant 4. The area of construction affects exit routes for several trails that have been iconic in the mountain biking community for several decades. I understand there isn't much to be done to save these portions of trails, but if there can be some effort to preserve the exit routes to Foothill via go-around trails that aren't simply flat, decomposed granite, it would keep the spirit of the existing trails and community that enjoys them. Thank you. Good afternoon. I attended the last trail planning meeting with Brett Dawson and would like to further emphasize the importance of preserving as many of our trails at Skyline as possible. As a Corona resident and fellow mountain biker, I have spent many hours putting in trail maintenance to these trails that hundreds of mountain bikers as well as hikers enjoy on a weekly basis. We are aware that there will be some trails affected by this new development, but I am asking the decision makers to please allow us as much access as possible to the existing trails and opportunities so we can reroute and build new trails. If signs are put up to advertise trails, I would highly suggest that they say something to the effect that they are multi-use and to be alert when hiking and biking. No headphones or dogs off leash on single track trails. We appreciate having our voices heard and part of the process. We know that some parts of the trails will be gone, but if we can reroute and be a part of that process, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Devin Hauser.
Thank you. And Commissioner Olson, do you have any comments?
I do. Thank you. And first of all, thank you for the folks who came out to speak on this tonight and the folks who wrote the written comments. And I would encourage staff to take all of those things into consideration. I think that they come from a place of intimate knowledge of how these facilities are used today, and how they might be used post-development. So I would echo those thoughts. Also, my thanks to Richland for undertaking this. I know Councilman Steiner has been driving this for some time, and I remember how it started and where it was to where it is today, or what you're proposing. Night and day, fantastic. Thank you for that. And I know it's not something that you have to do, and I know it's something that will add value to the homeowners that ultimately decide to make this their home as a part of their lifestyle. So thank you for indulging the dialogue and making really material changes to the benefit of the community. Very much appreciated. A couple of things that stood out to me. I'll start with just the trails and their interface in and out of the community. What do those connection points look like? How long are they in the community? Is it separated trail? As they, it sounds like there'll be some dedicated trail, there'll be some bike lane pieces of it, there'll be some DG. What does that look like? What's my experience as a mountain biker coming down from a trail, going through the community, and then exiting the community? So we'll start with that.
So most of the trails will be as much native as possible. A lot of them are going to dump out into the, what's it called, retention basins, and they'll climb out the retention basin maintenance roads, and they will dump out onto the Class 2 and Class 3 bike lanes, which would bring you over to the rest of the trails to get off the site.
Okay, so distance-wise, let's take Troy Lee, for example, right? If I come down Troy Lee, how do I continue my path through the community? Is it I'm just crossing a road, or I'm for a quarter mile on the street and then continuing on? Just kind of in general, what does that look like?
Yeah, it would be about maybe not even a whole quarter mile of asphalt.
Okay.
And then you connect into another native trail.
Okay. One of my concerns, I think, and one of the speakers mentioned it, is conflicting uses, right? Pedestrian versus bicycle. You got someone coming down, bombing down the hill, right? And then they're in the community, and there's folks casually walking along, and cars may be going 25, but these guys may be going 35, 40, right, down the hill. So that's just a concern of mine. I don't know what the solution is, but it's just a concern that I have, and I know that you've taken some, looks like some measured precautions to that with how you're doing crosswalks and such. But that is, just something that's on my mind as folks, they're kind of mid ride downhill, and then they're on the street, and then they're down the hill again. I think it might be serviceable, but that is just a concern of mine.
And I agree, but we do have signs at those trailheads to let people know that there are bicycles coming down those hills.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them may not be accessible to the hiker because some of them are pretty steep, but we do understand that there's going to be an interface, and we're trying to make that as safe as possible.
Awesome. Do we have an idea of the level of downhill bike traffic today on an average beautiful 70-degree Saturday?
I don't,
okay,
off the top of my head.
Okay. I'll start with Kite Park and the specific areas. There's not specific parking allocated for Kite Park, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there street parking?
There may be a little bit of street parking, but the parking lot is also large enough to accommodate a little bit of that, and there's also a raised crosswalk to get from the main park parking area over to the fitness area, which is directly adjacent to Kite Park.
Okay. So it's kind of like we would expect users to park at the main park and maybe make their way to the dog park or the Kite Park?
To Kite Park, maybe not the dog park. That's at the bottom of the hill.
Okay.
But there is street parking for the dog park.
There's street parking at the dog park, okay, answers the question there. Are there bookable shelters there at Kite Park? It looks like there was some shade structure, but maybe not a formal shelter. Like, would we anticipate that be an amenity that's bookable through the city?
Yeah, so the main park, if I go back, let's see. I think I went too far. Where's the overview? Did I pass it? Yeah. Okay, so right on the side of the playground, there are picnic areas there, and those will be reservable.
That's the
I
two?
think it's labeled as number 2.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Through the two light blue rectangles on either side of the orange playground.
Okay. I do, concur with Dwight, potentially moving some of that activity, whatever it is, to Kite Park. There's a lot of density and use here, especially with the pump tracks, and the pickleball courts. As you can see, it's a pretty popular thing in the city with a lot of folks who want to use it. While we're on this slide, we plan those courts to be lighted?
I mean, right now, we're kind of at the concept stage, and so once we get through this and through the ultimate approval of the actual project, we can start working through more of those details. But
Okay, yeah, that was going to be one of my questions too.
Yeah.
How real is this, and
Well, I'd say, we've done a lot of grading analysis and to make sure all this, there's a significant amount of how it all works and interplays in safety and connectivity and parking and ADA and all that. But there's still a lot of details beyond the concept level that need to be figured out. Signage, what's on the signage and things like that.
Right, okay. Do we anticipate, I don't see anything like a walking loop. I know that's something that is really popular at most all of our parks, is a simple walking loop, 3 loops to a mile, 4 loops to a mile, 5 loops to a mile, whatever it is, or even, a loop between the parks, even including the sidewalk is fine, but some sort of circuit. Is that something that is worked in there?
We don't have one per se, but on the west side of the street going down to the dog park, there is a trail on curb, which will keep residents and hikers off the asphalt, off the drivable surface.
Okay, and finally, in the dog park, are those home lots that are directly adjacent to that? Like the yellow?
Across the street?
Yeah. Across the street?
There's a couple that are directly across that are like custom lots. They're very, very large lots.
Okay.
So they're going to be pretty far from the actual activity.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's, obviously one of concern there is noise, right? We want the uses to be compatible and don't want to be down the road where the community falls in love with this park and we have homeowners who, are mindful of the noise.
Yeah.
So obviously concern there. Good. I think, let me make sure that's all I have. And again, I encourage you all to be mindful of the things that were submitted by the public and the community tonight as well. That concludes my questions, I think.
Thank you. Commissioner Olson, Commissioner McBride, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I have a few questions here, actually. Appreciating now and understanding this concept, I'll lay off some of the detail type questions. But a couple of questions I did have, I'll start up at the Kite Park myself. You mentioned really not street parking. The parking is at Park 2, the Central Park. If that's as I read this, I thought I read somewhere this is probably one of the best views in the area. How does that service, or what's the thought on ADA planning, given people that may not have the mobility to be able to access that park? Because I'm also looking at where that crosswalk is, what appears to be the west end, I'm going to call it. There doesn't seem to be ADA parking in your plan here. It seems like we're missing access for a segment of our community to the Kite Park.
We do have ADA parking in the main parking lot, and we believe that it's safer to have the accessible parking not on street when it comes to having bike traffic and driving traffic.
Okay, I see those
Path of
3
travel.
spots. Sorry.
There is a path of travel over to the kite park on one of those raised crosswalks.
Okay, if I'm looking at your plan correctly, the one that's a kite park, which is a couple of more slides up, if you would indulge me for a moment. Keep going. It's the one with the kite park overhead? Yeah, that one, please. If I'm reading your plan correctly, that's a 1.1% grade. So your parking in the main park is Center Park, and you're expecting ADA people to travel the length of the park, the main park, cross the street on a raised pedestrian, then it up a 1% grade to the kite park. I'm just concerned we're just limiting part of our population.
Well, accessibility is 2%, so it is lower than 1%. That's something we could probably look into, but we do believe that we do have a feasible accessibility to this park.
Okay.
Maybe some, pocket for a couple of spots there, if that's something that's feasible to do.
Maybe at the west end, yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Something we can definitely look into.
And then a couple of things, I did like the elevated crosswalks, I appreciate that. My comment on drinking fountains would be bottle fill type stations. Down at Park 3 though, my question down there was I see one ADA space, again, feel a little light, but you mentioned something very quickly in the presentation that part of that park is the HOA space. So is that park divided by HOA use and the dog park and not for general resident use?
The dog park is public. It is going to be a CFD park. It is directly adjacent to an HOA park. There are two different lots. So we dedicated this space for a city dog park.
Okay, so that one that's labeled Spot 1, is that HOA park then?
The big green
Village Green.
blob is the HOA underling. But it's not like fenced or anything. It's basically publicly available, just maintained by the HOA.
Okay, that was where I was going with that. Thank
And
you.
on the ADA stuff, I mean, again, this is a concept, but once we go through actual construction drawings, we'll have to meet all the ADA requirements for parking and the ratios. And it's typically a ratio of how many parking stalls have to be accessible, and we would obviously meet that through the construction document phase.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. I just see a lot of our parks that I go to, we see a lot of the ADA spots occupied, more than the normal spots. So we do see heavy use by our people needing the extra help. My last question for you is you mentioned in the Central Park, there's a bike park. What's the target age for that bike park? Like the bike trail or the bike track, however you describe it? I mean, is this something we're gonna have to worry about teenagers on e-bikes jumping around and all of a sudden little kids out there? Or what's the target here?
It's probably more of a teenage thing. It is in all ages. I've seen little kids. I've seen 4-year-olds on these things, and I've seen adults. I can see the avid mountain bikers on there as well. It's also like a regular skate park where you're gonna have multi-aged users. It's just creating knowledge and making sure everybody looks out for everybody, which is great with the bike community. I think that's one of the more inclusive communities out there when it comes to the sports, is they definitely look after their own and they make sure everybody's safe.
Okay.
I'd also add on to that, City of Menifee opened one about a year ago also. So it's operating and, so we work with them a lot. We have a few projects there. Happy to see what's going on there for, how well it's been received and any maintenance issues or anything like that. But
Okay. All right. And actually, that would be a detailed question for later for me would be, what's the maintenance on something like that? But we'll save that for when we're past the concept. Thank you.
Commissioner Munoz, do you have any comments?
I do, thank you. We realize that this is a concept level plan view, and I want to thank you for, Richmond, taking the time to listen to the people who live in the area, listen to the people who will use the actual park, bikers and things. A couple of questions I have just off my first page here, which is the ask. What's the schedule overall from concept to fruition?
Well,
So again, our project that's approved is the version that is on the left on the other plan, but we're in process on this. We've been working on this probably a couple of years now on the revisions. We're coming here today, and then the next step would be to go to Planning Commission, and then the next step after that would be go to Council for the revisions, and then you're, jumping into your jurisdictional permit with state agencies, wildlife agencies, and your final engineering and grading and all your infrastructure design. So you're looking at anywhere from 12 to 18 months to do that. And then this particular job is about a 12 to 18-month grading job, so it's a very significant grading job. So, it's a few years out. And obviously the economy has to hold, and it's all economics driven, but, that would be the best case scenario.
Right. Thank you. Some things that just to keep in mind, there are traffic control, lighting assessment, noise mitigation, and I want to concur with Commissioner Olson about biker to pedestrian interfacing, how that works. If you're coming down pretty rapidly down a slope and you're on a bike, the interface between that pedestrian that happens to be walking by or running by could be pretty significant. So I'm sure that's what signage will do. It'll take more than signs, I think, to make that more of a doable situation. I do like what you've done, though, with the outreach to the public and 3 public parks, 3 trailheads, preserving open space and trails, and connectivity to the surrounding bike trails. Other questions that come to mind, is kind of going through my notes here. The interface between the Cleveland National Forest and the impact between that and the neighborhoods that adjoin that particular area and those trailheads. On the HOA park, is that going to be fenced off to only people who live in the neighborhood, or is that open access?
Open access at that particular location. There are some others that are more internal that we're not really looking at tonight. The active turf area.
Okay, thank you. On the city parks, there's 3 there, and they're pretty significant. And in the last year, I've learned that the cost of maintenance is going up. Water's going up, and I'm wondering how we are thinking about that, and then keeping in our back of our minds that maintenance costs will be driven up through a variety of factors, and water is going up, I heard the other day, 43%. So that's significant. And we have a lot of grass here and a lot of tall and plant material being promoted and used, and they'll be irrigated for a while at least, and grass will be irrigated on a year-round basis. And keep in mind that the costs are going up, and that's going to give me a city takeover. Is that correct?
It is. The city is going to be taking over the maintenance, but the park will be contingent on a CFD approval that will help fund the maintenance for that, so it's not going to be general fund maintained.
Right. I like the fact, again, I'll reinforce that the trails were recognized, reviewed, and reinforced through reuse of those trails with new trails interfacing with that. That's, I like the overall design theme going on. On each park, I didn't really see, and they all vary in size, I didn't see any restrooms. I know it's concept level, and you're going to have a bike track, you're going to have playgrounds, and barbecues, you're going to have shade structures, which means people are going to be barbecuing and picnicking in the area, and these aren't really going to be neighborhood parks per se. They're going to be you drive to it and you park in a parking lot. And then, so you're going to have, I think, a thought about restroom facilities that's large enough to hold that capacity of people that will be using the park sites.
Yes, we do have a restroom facility in the main park.
And I go back to noise mitigation, especially on the pickleball courts. And we went through that at Border Park for a while. And just want to make sure our distances between the houses meets that requirement, that standard of distance. Pickleball and basketball are really a lot of noise there. We live near a park, actually at Brentwood Park, and I thought, oh, cool, I live near a park, it's kind of nice. But the noise is dong, 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 it's driving me crazy, but the metallic backboard. Almost done, so bear with me. Again, dog park, I think that people were watching their dogs And it's like, if you watch a water geyser or a water hose bib running, you're going to want to go to the restroom. Almost every man's going to want to go to the bathroom because his dog is going to the bathroom in the park site. So, thought about restrooms at a dog park would be pretty significant also. And I've seen dog parks being rapidly used, and you have really one handicap space there. And that may not be significant enough to address the need for parking. Again, these are just concept level plans and concept level comments. And then I know in 2016, the project issues included transportation, vegetation, wetland riparian, wildfire, wildlife. So our thoughts need to be with that in mind, and I'm sure we've done that homework with that. Agriculture and forestry resources being taken into account, biological resources, cultural resources, drainage and absorption of water into the natural condition of the area, floodplain and flooding, geology, soils, sewer capacity, solid waste, hazards and hazardous materials. And I guess these have all been taken into account already over the last 2 years. Hydrology and water quality, land use planning, noise mitigation, population and housing, public services and recreation, and schools and universities. Have these all been taken into account during our last 2 years of research?
So the EIR for the original project looked at all of these in a very extensive manner. And so what we do as a part of this is all of these minor changes. We're reducing our unit count overall, and our footprint area is being kept very similar. So what the addendum does, it looks at all the revisions and everything that's being changed and makes sure that it's not a drastic change, and that's all of the impacts contemplated within the EIR are not changed or increased in any way. So all of that gets looked at. So, and then on the pickleball, we did look at a couple ordinances for other agencies that have distance separation for noise, and in every case we exceeded it almost by 3 times. So 100 foot was one of the ones I saw, and I think we're about 300 foot to the closest residence. And again, a lot of this stuff too will be handled through disclosure and CCNRs, and having a strong set of CCNRs on the trails and these facilities being used in the ways that they are for the parks. So at least when they are acquiring these homes, not just the first buyers, but down the line when they resale, it's on title and there's disclosure there in perpetuity. So, and then the HOA will be involved as well, so, to enforce.
At the very end of the day, are we constantly keeping the people who will, in the neighborhood, apprised of what's going on with these plans? And after tonight, we'll be talking to planning. After then, we'll talk to council and keep the people who live in the area in mind, because they're the important people that will use the park for one thing, and they will make or break our park facilities throughout Corona, and this one too.
Yeah, a lot of what you see here is based on all these outreach meetings we've done. We've done a significant amount of them. We've been lucky to have Jim Steiner host a couple of in his district, some outreach meetings with people that live in the area. So we've had a couple of those. And then we've been working with the Trails community extensively. And then, I mean, even just the project to begin with for their first approval had a whole significant host of outreach as well. So.
And lastly, I just want to congratulate you and the team. I go way back with BMLA, but I know that they're a great firm, and that you're as a developer are fantastic and looking to move us to the next generation of people that will use the park. So congratulations for a job well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Munoz. Vice Chair Boggs, do you have any comments?
Yes. I think as a concept, it looks great. I think if it moves forward, I really appreciate the feedback that you've taken from the community and that you're proposing 6+ more acres than's required. So thank you for that. Thanks.
Thank you. I just had a couple comments. It definitely sounds like the whole process has been pretty collaborative and extensive. Is this the exact presentation that will go on to the next commission and then to council?
Elements of this will be included, but this obviously the focus here is on the park facilities and trails, and that'll certainly be a component of it. But a lot of the next version will be more broad scale on the project as a whole and the revisions to some of the product we're proposing. and the amenities and things like that. So it'll be a little more big picture on the overall project, comparing from approved to what we're proposing today.
Okay, that was my question. Just because even, it sounds like there's been a lot of changes to even the park-specific amenities and redesigning that. So I think it would be helpful to kind of see the before and after so that we can see how the Park and Rec master plan and the Trails master plan has been considered and just brought forward into the changes. And then I think like Commissioner Munoz had mentioned, just making sure that the communication and the collaboration stays open, or I don't know if there's anything formal, or I don't know how you guys meet, if it's informally, but just making sure that through the whole process, like you said, it could take, a few years from now, to make sure that the community members are still involved and being heard even after things open and we start to see maybe the increase in traffic or the just the impact of more users and things like that. Has that been discussed at all?
Well, the park facility, as it relates to these facilities, will be a public park. So in terms of, if rules need to be changed or implemented, that'll be at the will of the city because it'll be their park. But we'll be also have our HOA for the HOA facilities and the maintenance, and there'll be an interface between the two. But yeah, in terms of, and then just we've looked at all the environmental impacts and things related to reducing the unit count for this proposed project and replacing it with some of the park and things like that. So, and updated the traffic analysis to look at what that does. And that's all been considered.
Okay. But yes, I agree. I think it looks great, and I think it's going to be a great addition to the community. So thank you. Do we need to take a vote? Yes. Okay. Do we have anyone to go ahead and recommend approval to the City Council? Like to make a motion?
I will motion.
Commissioner Olson?
And I'll second it.
Thank you. Let us take a vote.
Chair Bass, your vote, please.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, and finally, our last item, adjournment. Thank you for joining us for the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting this evening. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Number 7, thank you. Commissioner members, reports and comments. Commissioner Olson, did you have any closing comments for us?
You pulled a Commissioner Olson there. Yes, I do. First, I want to thank all the public speakers who came tonight and everyone who in the audience who stayed with us tonight. I hope that was a meaningful meeting for you and you took something away from it. I know that I certainly did. And for those who shared their comments this evening and written comments, very much appreciated. I know we can't really discuss the public comments section tonight. I know that can be disappointing, but you were heard, right? These are topics that have come up before. I think I speak for myself at least that I recognize that pickleball is proving to not be a flash in the pan fad. And that it's going to be around a while, and it's super approachable, easy to learn. Most people can do it, so it's just one of those things that I would, as a commissioner, would like to see us have greater availability for in the city. We know that Border Park is there. You guys did a great job resurfacing that the courts there, but it is not in an ideal location, all things considered. With the neighbors. And I would love to be able to offer some later hours to that and have another facility elsewhere in the city. I know we've discussed some sound mitigation in the past. I'd love to see this come back on an future agenda to see, discuss things like the lighting and perhaps sound mitigation that we can make the activity is more compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. But I would invite that discussion so that we could discuss it a little more openly in this body. Number two, a lot of sports leagues had their opening activities this past weekend. I know we had a couple of baseball leagues have their opening ceremonies, and AYSO kicked off their, pun intended, their activities with games this past weekend. My kid got into U6 at the very last possible second, and fortunately the fields dried enough so we could play. But I did pay close attention to the condition of the fields. They look great, and having a kid in this sport will give me an opportunity to kind of keep track of how that goes throughout the season as we continue that ongoing discussion of field conditions. So we'll be taking a close look at that, and I think the way we kicked it off again with that walkthrough with the leagues was a great thing for us to do. So yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that, and that's it for me tonight.
Thank you. Commissioner McBride?
Yeah, like Commissioner Olson, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It's so weird seeing so many people here, and especially to the end. So thank you all for your comments and input tonight. I did want to take a couple of moments to say to Mr. Lass, thank you for all the continued work on all the great programs. I'm looking forward to the one at the end of the month, the spring one. And to Mr. Cortez, thank you for all the new trees. I am seeing them along Mountain Gate, and I'm seeing them along Upper. Getting a lot of positive feedback from my neighbors and the people of the area. I have been spending quite a bit of time in Mountain Gate Park with some of the cleanup events there with some of the other ancillary groups that are doing it, and it's being noticed. So thank you for all the input your team's doing and all the work. I'm looking forward to the ribbon cuttings. I will be at those, so please keep me invited. And other than that, look forward to seeing you at Arbor Day. I'll be at that one. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Munoz, do you have any closing comments for us?
One last thing. I concur with my cohorts in crime here with everything they talked about. But again, thank you all for coming tonight to share your thoughts and share your ideas and vocalizing your opinions. It's important to us to hear that. And I appreciate that very, very much, especially since I lived in the Border Park area for 23 years or so. So I know where you're coming from that. Love the area. Still do. I'd like to see the grand openings too, as we've spoken about before, and those are always exciting. So I concur with both my colleagues to be there at those opening ceremonies. You see people, talk to people, share thoughts with the community, and become part of Corona. And Corona is a good place to live in. And the more active you are in Corona, you'll see that there's a viable area here, and that a lot of things going on that really aren't really talked about too much. But the more you get involved, the more you learn about the place you live in. And then lastly, thank you again for a great month of March, and looking forward to April's Spring Festival. It should be fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Vice Chair Box, do you have any closing comments? No? Okay. Yes, I just wanted to also express my appreciation and gratitude for everyone who came out to share their comments and speaker cards and written comments. I tell people all the time, if they have a concern, come to the next commission meeting, come submit a speaker card, and they very rarely do. So thank you for showing up and saying what's on your mind. We do appreciate it. And yes, I also wanted to comment to Mr. Cortez that the fields look great this past weekend, and I hope with the rain that they stay that way too. So thank you, and thank you for joining us. We will adjourn this meeting at 7:45. The next meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission is scheduled for Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. Thank you and have a good night.